Hello students, welcome back to Science Chapter 4, Sorting Materials into Groups. Children, in our previous video, we studied about objects and materials and we understood that objects are made up of one or more than one materials. In this video, let us discuss about properties of the materials and let us also understand the importance of sorting materials into group. Now let us study the first property, that is appearance. Appearance means how a material looks. Based on the appearance, materials are classified as shiny or lustrous material and non-shiny or non-lustrous material. Metals like gold, silver, copper, aluminium, steel, etc. are shiny materials, whereas materials like wood, leather, rubber, etc. are non-shiny materials. Children, ornaments are made of metals because they are shiny materials. For ornament, shining is important, right? Yes. Whereas a water bottle is made of plastic. This water bottle is made of plastic. This is because here shining is not important. The main purpose of the water bottle is to store water. Okay, children. Now let us move on to the next property, that is hardness. Based on the hardness of the materials, materials are classified as hard and soft materials. The materials that is difficult to compress and scratch, for example, iron, steel, gold, wood, glass, etc. are hard materials. The materials that can be compressed and scratched easily are called soft materials. For example, cotton, sponge, rubber are soft materials. Children, furniture are made up of hard materials because its purpose is to withstand the weight of the person who sits on it. And the cushions on the sofa are made of cotton or sponge because it is soft material and makes us comfortable to sit on. Next property is solubility, that is, whether the material is soluble in water or not. On the basis of solubility, there are two types of materials. They are soluble materials and insoluble materials. Now let us see what are soluble materials. The materials that completely disappear or dissolve in water are called soluble materials. Example, sugar and salt. Children, take a beaker of water and put little sugar or salt in it and stir it well. Can you see the sugar or salt in that water? No, right? The sugar or salt, it will completely dissolve in the water. Such materials are called soluble materials. So sugar and salt are soluble materials. Now let us see what are insoluble materials. Insoluble materials do not mix with water and do not disappear even after we stir for a long time. Such materials are called insoluble materials. Example, sand, oil, etc. Children, take a beaker of water and put some sand in it. Whether it dissolves in water? No, right? sand will settle down at the bottom of the beaker. Okay, now take a beaker of water and put some oil to it. Does the oil dissolve in water? No. Then what happens here? Here, the oil will float on the water. So, sand and oil are called insoluble materials. Okay, children. Children, whether liquids and gases dissolve in water? Some liquids and some gases will dissolve in water. Liquids like vinegar, lemon juice dissolve in water, whereas liquids like coconut oil, mustard oil, etc. do not dissolve in water. The gas oxygen dissolves in water, and it is very important for the survival of aquatic animals. Aquatic animals use this dissolved oxygen for breathing, so it is very important for them. Here is a list of some materials and their solubility. Sugar, it is soluble in water. Salt, soluble in water. Then sand, chalk powder, sawdust, they are insoluble in water. Vinegar, lime juice are soluble in water. Mustard oil, coconut oil, kerosene, they are insoluble in water. Oxygen, it is a gas, it is soluble in water. Okay, now let us move on to the next property, that is whether the objects float or sink in water. Children, sand, chalk powder, sawdust, oil does not dissolve in water. Sand, chalk powder sinks in water, whereas oil floats in the water. Children, the materials which are denser than water sink. Dense means heavy. So, the materials which are denser, which means heavier than water, sink. Whereas, materials which are less denser than water will float in water. Objects like leaf, twig, balloon, plastic bottle, paper boat float in water, whereas objects like stone, sand, coin, glass bottle, etc. sinks in water. These objects are denser than water, so they sink. Next property is transparency. Based on transparency, the materials are classified into three types. They are transparent materials, opaque materials, and translucent materials. The materials through which things can be seen are called transparent materials. For example, glass, water, air, and some plastics. The materials through which we are not able to see are called opaque materials. Examples are wood, metals, plastics, cardboard, etc. The materials through which object can be seen but not clearly are known as translucent materials. Examples are butter paper, oil patch on a paper. See children, in this picture, a giraffe is standing behind the window and we cannot see the giraffe completely. Only the head and neck of the giraffe is clearly seen. Children, do you know why? This is because the glasses of this window are made of different types of materials. See this window glass, it is transparent. So, through this window glass, we can see the giraffe clearly. And see the next window glass, it is translucent. So, through this, we can see the giraffe but not clearly. And this window is opaque. And we cannot see the giraffe through this window. Children, Now you must have understood why your mother keeps spices in transparent bottles. This is because she can select the spices which she wants easily without opening the bottle. Similarly, shopkeepers usually prefer to keep biscuits, sweets and other eatables in transparent containers of glass or plastic. This is because the buyers can easily see these items. Children, do you know why the doors and walls of a house is made of opaque object? This is because no one can look into our house from outside. Children, we learnt what are objects and what are materials. And we understood that objects are made up of one or more than one materials. Children, these materials differ in their properties. Some are shiny, some materials are non-shiny, and some materials are soft and some are hard. And some materials are soluble in water and some materials are insoluble in water. And some materials floats on water and some materials sink in water. Some materials are transparent, some are translucent and some are opaque. Children, materials can be grouped on the basis of similarities and differences in their properties. And it is very important to know why sorting of materials or objects is needed. Children, you might have seen in your school library, books are arranged in different sections according to the subject, so that it becomes easy to locate a particular book. Similarly, in a grocery shop, biscuits are placed in one section, pulses are placed in another section, while soaps are placed in some other section. And it becomes very easy for a buyer to locate a particular item. So, we group the materials or objects for our convenience, right? So, I think now you understood why sorting of materials is important. Right, children? So, by grouping the materials or object, we can make our work easy. Am I right, children? And not only for this, dividing materials into groups also make it convenient to study their properties. So, when we group the materials or objects, it will be easy for us to study the properties of these materials. Okay, children. This is about sorting materials into groups. Children, in your daily life, try to sort the objects or materials into groups and make your work easy and save your time. Thank you, children. See you in the next class.